So hello, everybody. For those of you who are new, and we did have some new members join our orientation, I'm Lisa Herrick, and I often start us off on these events. And I was visiting with Adele Dari, who is one of our leaders who moved to Colorado a couple of years ago, but she's visiting DC, and we spent some time this morning. I think she's with family this afternoon, but I was telling her that, you know, one of the things that I do for 31st Street is to sort of say hello and introduce these programs. And sometimes it's a bit of a task. I mean, it's an opportunity to talk to everyone, which I love, but it's also a bit of a task. And it's sometimes hard to come up with inspiration. But I knew what I wanted to talk about this week. I had a client this week who tends to be sort of depressed, and she tends to see things as glass half empty. And she came in this week, just filled with the news of this particular week, saying, Lisa, the world is a dumpster fire, and I just can't bear it. Our country is a dumpster fire. The world is a dumpster fire. And I don't even know what to think anymore. And, you know, I wanted to say, well, join 31st Street, that might help you. But really what I said is, you know, I thought of Mr. Rogers, whose quote is, look for the helpers. If you're really blue and frightened, look for the helpers. There are always helpers around a dumpster fire. There are firefighters. And then there are farmers who, you know, sow seeds in the burnt land and try to bring life back to things that have burned down. And I really feel like it's important for us to look for inspiration to the people that never give up, to the people who, you know, don't stop being the helpers of democracy, no matter what happens. And this week, I was particularly inspired by Adam Schiff. Many of you may have watched his speech to the House, the Congress, or read about it in Robert Hubbell's newsletter. But if anybody is constantly putting out fires and sowing seeds, it is Adam Schiff. So I'm just going to read a section of his speech for our inspiration today. And if you know me, you know I often get choked up when I do this, so forgive me if I stumble over my words, because this is an amazing speech. It's on my phone, so that's why I'm looking down. To my Republican colleagues who introduced this resolution, I thank you. You honor me with your enmity. You flatter me with this falsehood. You, who are the authors of the big lie about the last election, condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you. Your words tell me that I have been effective in the defense of our democracy, and I am grateful. Speaker McCarthy would spend the nation's time on petty political payback, thinking the censor or fine will force Trump's opposition into submission, but I will not yield, not 1 inch. The cost of the speaker's delinquency is high, but the cost to Congress of this frivolous and dangerous resolution may be even higher, as it represents another serious abuse of power. I say this to Speaker McCarthy and others who wish to gratify Donald Trump with this act of subservience. Try as you might to expel me from Congress or silence me with a $16 million fine. You will not succeed. You might as well make it $160 million. The speaker will never deter me from doing my duty, no matter how many false justifications or slanders you level against me. You indict yourselves. Why were you silent, afraid, and unwilling to do your ethical constitutional duty? Why did you cower? And why do you still? Will it be said of you that you lacked the courage to stand up to the most immoral, unlawful, and unethical president in history, but consoled yourselves by attacking those who did? Today, I wear this partisan vote as a badge of honor, knowing that I have lived my oath, knowing that I've done my duty to hold a dangerous and out of control president accountable, and knowing that I would do so again in a heartbeat if the circumstances should ever require it. I thank you and I yield back. So if Adam Schiff can do that, we can do this. And I thank you for being here, and I yield back to Jim Shelton.
Okay, and I'm pressing on. So yeah, I'm Jim Shelton. I think most of you know me, the political analyst, retired epidemiologist. So as usual, I'm just going to jump right into slides. I hope. There we go. Okay. And Lisa, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're going to start off with a word from a friend. So this is Kim Allen, who we just heard from.
Hey folks, this is Kim from DemPower Labs. I want to share a message of thanks to all of you for your support of our organization's work. We've more than met our first fundraising goal, and that's thanks to all of you. So I thought I'd share a little bit about why this milestone and why your support means so much to us. One big reason is this support has given us the momentum we needed to begin tackling important democracy projects and begin laying the groundwork for 2024. As I mentioned on our last call, there are opportunities we have in key states like Arizona and Michigan to begin working this year to defend democracy, because there are no off years in elections, and that work is now starting immediately because of your support. And because we now have this momentum, we've been able to begin working in a third state, Georgia. We're taking the lead on important projects like researching Republican challenges to voter eligibility and organizing around appointment of election board members. And finally, on a more personal note, we're getting to do the work that we love, and that means everything to us. All of this has been because of your support. Thank you for believing in this work and for investing in it. I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with all of you and tell you more about how your investments are making an impact. Thank you.
Anyway, again, this is our last effort. You know, we do a series of efforts, and this one I think was one of our most successful ones. $100,000 that we raised, I think, was well worth it. So I'm going to now, we're mostly going to talk about Virginia today, but I'm going to, I can't resist talking a little bit about the national situation, and my prerogative, I guess, to delve a little bit into that, which is we have three really good issues nationally. And of course, it plays out differently in local areas, but I'm going to talk about some data, which I'd like to show on abortion and on, economic populism, not so much on the third one, because these are winning messages for us if we can mount them. But also, it always depends upon the audience and intensity, because a lot of voters will just vote on one thing that really grabs them, if you will. And but these things are particularly they do have legs, if you will, and that's especially important for turnout. And but also abortion is good for persuasion as well. So it's quite good. But when we talk about Virginia, it's really going to be the classic example of a turnout election, in that the turnout is likely to be only about 30%. So if we can turn out our people with issues like this, and I'm not saying that in each district it plays out the same at all, but I think abortion is going to be key really anywhere. So just a couple of slides on abortion. This is on the breadth, if you will, just to show that there are many, with the Dobbs decision anniversary, there are a lot of surveys polling on abortion. This is just one of many. And it just shows that there's so many groups of people, including independents, Republicans, Latino voters, men, where they basically don't like, the Dobbs decision for a variety of reasons. But then with respect to depth, if you will, people can say they favor or against a certain issue. Classic one would be, climate change, but they might not really vote on it. Here, people are really voting on it. They're saying that it's important to them, especially our Democrats. So if we can motivate them to turn out, and this is a good way to do it, they'll be with us. Then I have one slide on economic populism. This was a survey, came out a couple of weeks ago, Ipsos, which is a well-respected survey. And again, many polling like this, qualitative stuff. And this point that the economy is rigged, that was their word. But look, even among Republicans, they feel that way. So, we just should be really using that message when we didn't do it in 2022 nearly as much as we should have. Okay, now I do want to shift to Virginia, where both the House and the Senate are completely, the State House and Senate completely at stake. And I do want to kind of focus on Glenn Youngkin a bit, because he's a lightning rod. He's a motivator for us. He's a motivator for us to get engaged, because we do have this situation where if there were just a swing of 2 Senate seats from where we are, again, because the lieutenant governor has a vote in a tie in the state Senate, they would have a trifecta. They could kind of turn Virginia toward, another Texas or something. So, but there are a bunch of ways where he's been revealing himself. And I won't say that I've, got cataloged all of them here, but he was very quick to defend Trump very vigorously when Trump was indicted for these secret documents. He's called for abortion restrictions, really of any kind. He said he would sign any bill. So he's pretty extreme on this. He rolled back the voting right restoration to felons. He's very divisive over race, as we know. He's had a number of extremist appointments to his staff and to state offices. Here's something for climate change. He removed Virginia from something called the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. And actually, in a paradoxical thing, I just couldn't resist putting this on here. There's a compact by which states inform each other when people move and register so that they can be deregistered from their state where they've left. And he's, for some odd reason, gotten out of that. I don't know why exactly. So what are we doing? Well, true to form, if you will, we've got a great slate of candidates this time, and they will tell the tale. These set of candidates will tell the tale as to whether or not we keep the Senate and whether or not we take back the House. So we have 8 House candidates and 2 Senate candidates. 8 of them are toss-ups. 2 of them are kind of slightly lean R's, which we like to try to do a little bit of that. We are ruthless in a sense about how we select these folks. It's not really whether we like them or not. We just, we do, and that, often they're, we like these folks. We have other ones we like, but they're in blue districts or bluer districts, and they don't need our help nearly as much. You can see our goal is $200,000, and again, part of our strategy is early money. This is early. That's why we're jumping in right after the primary. In fact, 3 of them have just finished their primaries, and 2 of them, Susanna Gibson, who we'll hear very briefly from today, and Kimberly Adams, particularly are in need of money. As you wouldn't be surprised that once you've had a competitive primary, you've been spending your money and you need money to keep you going. And we are trying to some extent to sort of direct money to them as well. We'll be putting the donation link in the chat. So we really appreciate making your donations. So far, we have actually raised $80,000 toward our $200,000. That's because we had the good fortune of getting a nice shout out from Robert Hubble, And we've had a couple of kind of super donors, or 2 or 3, to kind of weigh in with significant money, but we still have a long way to go to get to our 200,000. So appreciate whatever help you can do for that. And we're having this fundraiser Tuesday night. You're all invited cordially to join us then. We've sent out a lot of the link and so forth for that, 7 p.m. And these are the great candidates. So we're going to have Jennifer Wexton, Congresswoman from Northern Virginia. And then we have one of the 2 key Senate races, Russet Sarah Perry from Loudoun County, basically. And then all the way back the other direction, Mike Fegans from Virginia Beach, running for a key House race as well. Now, here are the 2 people that are going to be speaking to us, for us, to us. The kind of keynote in a way is Josh Cole. The circumstances are that Josh is doing another fundraiser right now. He's in Alexandria doing a live fundraiser, but they promised that he will join at about 20 of 4 our time, and then we'll have him for the rest of that time. Also, Susanna Gibson, I just mentioned, she's a health professional. She's a nurse practitioner, so I really can relate to that. He's a terrific candidate. We helped him win in 2019, canvassing and money. He lost in a heartbreaker in 2021 when Youngkin was kind of carrying the state. And now he's in a better district, actually, a little bit better. This shifted for him. And it's really important to elect him, among other things, because he does have this experience of 2 years in the House, but even before that, he was a staff member working for the House of Delegates in Richmond. So we really need that, because there's so many state seats that are turning over, and these candidates, the new ones, they don't really know how to, the ropes, if you will. All right, so lastly, so while we're waiting for Josh, we have 3 kind of special subjects that I'm just going to talk about briefly, and we have great speakers that are going to talk about them. The first is the situation in Ohio that I think many of you have heard about, where the Republicans are trying to pull a fast one. They're trying to change the rules. They're trying to make it harder. I think it's actually for initiatives. This referendum initiative, I think they're trying to make it harder for initiatives, voter initiated questions to be approved in Ohio in terms of the vote, but also to make it harder to get it on the ballot. And I think we're onto them. I think they're going to be surprised. I think they're going to be, they're going to lose. But that's because a lot of people like us are doing these letters. And we're doing it with Working America, and John will be talking about that. Then in Pennsylvania, another one of our key states, we have a phone and text approach to do what I would call, it's my term, is registration curing. That's my term. It's basically for voters who were told that when they tried to vote by mail that their mail was not acceptable in one way or another, the address was wrong or something like that. So Melanie's going to tell us all about that. And then lastly, we have a postcarding initiative. Many of you may know that we have this initiative to try to help combat the right-wing MAGA machine on terms of their propaganda. And one of those is through Courier News, which has newsletters across the country. And we're in a partnership with other groups to try to see if we can increase their readership, their subscriptionship, if you will, by doing postcards. And George is going to tell us about that. So I'm going to stop sharing now and turn it over to John, who I see is ready and willing to go.
You're mute, John.
Thanks, Lisa. Okay, so Republicans are at it again, trying to thwart democracy and reproductive freedom, this time in Ohio. Currently, citizen proposed ballot initiatives to amend the state's constitution need only a simple majority to be approved by voters, and this provision has been in effect for over a century. But now, Republicans want to make it harder for Ohioans to approve a citizen ballot initiative to protect abortion rights that's anticipated in the upcoming November 2023 election. So they've created so-called Issue 1, a ballot initiative that would amend the Ohio Constitution to require a 60% majority to pass citizen amendments and make the signature process much more burdensome. To make matters worse, they've scheduled the vote for August 8, a highly unusual date selected precisely to discourage people from voting. If Issue 1 passes, it would be effective immediately, just in time for the November 2023 election. And by the way, the reason that it's called Issue 1 is that it's the only issue on the August ballot. Republicans set up this election solely to pass this measure. Fortunately, a progressive group called Working America is running a campaign to defeat the Republican ballot initiative, and they've asked 31st Street for help. For those of you who don't know, Working America is an arm of the AFL-CIO that reaches out to non-union voters with the goal of persuading them to vote for Democrats and to support progressive causes. Working America's Ohio campaign begins tomorrow, actually, and goes through July 25th. It involves sending hand-addressed letters to as many of its 1 million members in Ohio as possible. The letters will contain information sheets explaining the consequences of the Republican ballot initiative and urging a vote against it. 31st Street has partnered with Working America in the past to support their letter writing campaigns in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin. We've found them to be very good and effective partners. We need as many volunteers as possible to support Working America's efforts in Ohio. So we're asking you to join me, Roberta McInerney, and the 16 other 31st Street members who have already signed up to defeat Issue 1 and protect reproductive rights in Ohio. And thanks to Mary for recruiting 3 people. Thank you. The letter writing work is easy, flexible, satisfying, and effective. You sign up for a specific number of letters and complete them at your own pace. Since the campaign wraps up on July 25th, time is tight. If you can join in, please contact Roberta or me. Our emails will be in the chat. Thank you so much. And now I'll turn it over to Melanie Galloway, who will talk about phoning for Pennsylvania.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Jim. I'm a fellow 31st Street member, so glad to have the chance to talk to you all. I'm also the Pennsylvania State Director for an organization called Vote Pro Pros. It's an all-volunteer organization, and we partner with grassroots groups in Pennsylvania to ensure that every Pennsylvanian has the opportunity to vote. We just started a project about a week ago in which we are reaching out to those voters from the November 2022 election and the May 2023 primary that had their ballots returned back to the BOE, the Board of Elections, as undeliverable to them. And we're reaching out to them to educate them, to both educate them as well as to help them get their registration in order. Primarily, it's updating their address so that they are in a position to vote not only in November of 2023, but teeing them up for November of 2024. So we're in the process of recruiting. We need a lot of people. We have 4,000 people we're seeking to reach. These are motivated voters, and they are happy to hear from you and welcome the assistance. So my information in terms of contacting me for getting trained and getting up to speed on this project is in the last 31st Street newsletter. So I welcome everybody. We need everybody in on this to get these people set for 2024. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Melanie. And now I think we're turning to George.
You're on mute, George.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Hastings, and I'm here to tell you about an important postcarding opportunity to help preserve democracy. As you know, we're trying to fight back against the fact that local news media in this country, including local television stations, local oriented websites, and also the relatively few local newspapers that are still left. In recent years, they've all become dominated by voices of the far right. As some of you might remember, back in April this year, 31st Street presented a Zoom event that discussed this problem in depth and discussed some of the efforts that Democrats around the country are making to try to push back on that front. A link to the video of that presentation is still available on our website. And as one way of pushing back on this front, 31st Street is supporting the Courier Newsrooms, an organization supported by Democrats, which has websites in a number of swing states. Those Courier websites are designed to appeal to people who are not necessarily politically oriented, but they also mix in news information designed to foster democratic values in people who visit the website. The object is to give voters an attractive source of local news that is not blatantly biased toward the far right, and to attract them toward our way of looking at issues. Toward that goal, this particular postcarding project has been designed by the Swing Blue Alliance of various grassroots groups as an experiment. The project will take place in July, most likely the second half of July. We will, as part of the project, we're going to be sending postcards to women in selected areas of Virginia, women who are infrequent voters, telling them about the Courier Newsroom website in Virginia and urging them to check out the website. Later, the Alliance will then test whether a significant proportion of those contacted voters will actually visit the website and whether that moved the needle in terms of voting results in the fall election in the selected areas. And then if this effort proves to be productive, the Swing Blue Alliance will do a similar but much larger postcarding event in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania next year. So the basic message is that we hear a lot about how the far right, the MAGA people are taking over the local news media all around the country. And this is our chance to push back. This is the first project we see that stands we think a significant chance to give people an alternative to the far right media. So we're asking 31st Street members and friends to volunteer to participate in this postcarding experiment by addressing and sending 25 or more pre-printed postcards. We'll get you, if you sign up, we'll get you the pre-printed postcards. You add the address and a brief message, and then mail them. And anyone who is interested in volunteering for this project should email me, George Hastings, and my email address will be in the chat. So if you have questions about the project, you should also send them to me at that email address. So thank you very much. And please enjoy the rest of the program today. Lisa.
Thanks, George. So that's a lot of information about a lot of things we're doing, and you can do all of it from home. So we're really hoping people will jump in. There's not a lot of canvassing going on quite yet, but there is this. And so please pick something and sign up. We have Susanna Gibson here. I see her name, but I don't see her on my screen, but I think she's here somewhere. She is running for the legislature in Virginia, and she's just joining us briefly to say hello.
Yeah, I am here. I don't know if you can see me or not. I am in a car. Good, good. I am in a car. I am not driving. We are on our way back from the beach. We are fresh off of winning a primary election. So I'm Susanna Gibson. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a mother. I have 2 school-age children. and running for the Virginia House of Delegates in the new 57th district, which is far western Henrico County and a little bit of eastern Goochland County, essentially the suburbs of Richmond. It's a newly formed district that with that redistricting, it moved 20 points Democratic. It is a 50-50 district. It is one that is absolutely winnable and flippable. In the most recent congressional races, the Democrats actually won the district by 79 votes. So extremely competitive, but doable. And I just want to say hello. And I also want to say thank you to you guys for having me on and for all of your support and efforts in helping me win this seat. It's going to take a village, and I'm just truly grateful to have you guys. And thanks for letting me pop on and say hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck, and thank you for running. Thank you for running. It's a hard thing to do. So we really are grateful to you for even trying, and we will support you as much as we can.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Take care.
So why don't we see if there's any questions for
Okay.
our three presenters on. I mean, I would want to make one sort of clarification. Maybe I missed it, but to do these letters, the letters are all printed out. You don't have to write a letter. The only thing you got to write is the envelope. And the idea is when they see an envelope that's handwritten, that it actually makes people pay attention. And you might write a sentence in at the end of the letter as well. So it's really quite easy to do this.
Yeah, in fact, for the Ohio letters, Working America is sending out fact sheets. So we'll just like you say, write a couple of things at the bottom and then handwrite the envelope, which of course makes them more likely to be opened, and send them out. Over.
That is true also for the postcarding project. To fight the MAGA media, we're going to have pre-printed postcards, which are in production right now. And the main effort of the postcarder will be to add a short message and then address and mail the postcards over.
Are there any questions for about any of those outreach activities?
Or anything else? We're sort of waiting for Josh. So we have this time open.
I just have something to add. This is Roberta. I hope you can hear me. I'm traveling, but I'm working with John on the Ohio letters, and just many folks. There have been additional people who've joined the call today who've already signed up to do the Ohio letters. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who has signed up already. Thank you. And just reiterate that just if you want to sign up, you can email either John Medaglia or me, and our emails chat. So, but thanks again. Got a lot of great things going on right now. So thanks.
Thanks, Roberta. Drive safely. Sandy.
Hi, everyone. Looking in the chat, I'm not yet seeing, and although for the last couple of seconds I haven't looked, the contacts for John, for George, for Roberta, are they hidden somewhere there?
They're in the chat, but everybody can maybe copy and paste again into the chat, but they
Where are they?
John put his in at 428 in the chat, and
Okay.
Let's see, Melanie put hers in at 431, and George-
I didn't go far enough down. Okay,
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
find them.
all right.
There it
great.
is. I just put them in again.
Oh, thanks, John. And Jim is just put the donation link in again. We are having a fundraiser, as many of you know, on Tuesday night, but we want to get some funds to these folks as fast as we can. So we're already raising money.
Sandy has her hand up.
No, I just took it down again.
Okay.
I got it taken care of there.
Okay, Martha has her hand up.
Yeah, this is George sitting with my wife, Martha. And I just wanted to add, what a pleasure. We're talking about the Virginia fundraising that Jim's been talking about, that Josh will be talking to us about in a minute. What a privilege it has been to talk. We have, Jim has set up meetings, and Jim and Lynn Fletcher and I have been talking to these candidates that we have in our slate. And it's really a pleasure. It's an inspiration to talk to each one of them. If you could, we just got a minute with Susan Gibson, but if you spend a half an hour with her and see how hard she's working and what a great grasp she has on the issues, it's just really inspiring, and it makes me want to donate more to all these people. And that's true of Josh, which you'll meet him in a couple minutes, but all the other ones. So I really emphasize that. Thank you.
Any questions or comments about anything? It is 4:40. Josh Cole said he would be on right about now, so we're just giving him a little bit of time.
Hi, Lisa, this is Cynthia. On any of these efforts, are there any timeframes on them that are special to know about?
Good question. Maybe John can, each of you can just remind listeners about the timeframes. John?
Okay, so our campaign starts tomorrow. Working America will have the information out tomorrow, and then it wraps up on July 25th. So it's precisely 1 month. So it is a very tight time frame. Thanks.
Perfect. And Melanie, timeframe?
Just had to unmute myself. Sorry about that. I'm estimating 10 weeks. So it's an extended period because of the number of calls we need to make to people. So people can, come in and come out. We would like some, commitment over some period of time, realizing that people do have vacations and summer plans and won't be available the entire time period. But yeah, so we hope to have it all done August timeframe.
Wonderful. I just noticed that Joshua Cole has joined us, and so let's put the other information on hold because he's really busy and he just came from a fundraiser. Jim, were you going to say anything else in introduction?
Well, just to tell you, Josh, that we have given a little bit of your background and so forth. So really, you can just go ahead and take it away as to why it's important for you to win and how you're going to do it. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to first apologize. I'm just coming from another event, as previously stated, but thank you so much for all of your support, both in the past and this election. And I just want to kind of just give you some insight on why this race is important. And then I'll answer any questions that any of you may have. So our race for the 65th district is being ranked as the 51st seat for the Democratic majority in the House of Delegates this year. If you know anything about the House of Delegates in Virginia, 50-50 means there has to be a power share. 51 means a majority. Our district was redrawn with redistricting, and it is considered a slightly lean Democratic district, considered D+1. Abigail Spanberger won our district by 9 points last year, but Governor Youngkin also won our seat by 2 points. And so as long as we're able to mobilize and excite our base to have them show up in this off-year election, we can win. But that's going to take us communicating and reaching out to all of our voters, either by paid media, by digital, or by door knocking. And so I also recently found out that Virginia is the last state in the South that does not have abortion bans. And so if Youngkin is able to get control of the House and the Senate, that's one of the first things that he's going to do. And so that's kind of a little bit of information. Another thing that I'm excited about this race this year is that our Senate district is also highly competitive and targeted by the Senate caucus. And we picked up Spotsylvania County. And Spotsylvania County, the small portion that we have, also has the most flippable local district. And so by building building this great bench, this awesome group of candidates that we have running this year, I think we'll really be able to give Democrats an option in the region, especially in Spotsylvania County. They've never had an elected Democrat for over 13 years. So this will give them a voice in the General Assembly that they've never had in over 13 years. That's just to give you an idea about the stakes that are so high this year for this race. This is also the first time in well over 20 some odd years where the majority of the House and the Senate run through the Fredericksburg region. I can open it up for any questions if anyone has any specific, maybe policy questions, any questions about how we're going to campaign this year or whatever. I'll open it for any whatever questions you want to ask.
I see one question from Barbara Woodall. Are there any lessons learned from 2021 that you will be applying this year?
Yeah. So one of the biggest changes that we have is that we now have a Democratic leaning district. When I ran in 2021 for re-election, I was the only Democrat representing a Trump district. This is now a Hillary Clinton district. But the major issue that I'm finding out is we have to be involved in the community. We have to be visible and we have to be present. That was one thing that we lacked in 2021. We were all focused on fundraising, which is good. We do need to fundraise. But we weren't as present in the community as I personally like to be. And so this year, I've made it very clear to my team that I want to be present. I want to be visible. I want to be in the community. And we also have to start early. So this summer, we will be doing digital ads and videos to introduce ourselves, especially to the new portion of the district that maybe some people may not know who we are. So we're starting early and we're going to be very strong and robust as much as we can.
Great, thank you. That sounds positive, optimistic. Okay, let's see. I'm just looking for raised hands. If somebody, I can't see everybody. So if you have a question, you can just yell it out if you didn't.
Lisa, we need to go to Mary next for the to do the ask.
Oh, okay. Should we just put the questions on hold?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Okay, Mary Pence, head of the fundraising team.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Pence. I'm part of the 31st Street leadership. And I want to reach back to one of the things that Lisa lifted up in her introduction. She said, look for the helpers. She was evoking Mr. Rogers and his use of that same frame. And this meeting today gives you an easy 30-second chance to be a helper. And I'm going to tell you how. You know, I've never lived in Virginia, but I still consider myself a Virginian in the following sense. Virginia is part of the DMV, this intricately intertwined tri-state area, but it is also a swing state. And so in a time like this time in our democracy, Virginia is my state because it's one of the states that's going to determine the future, the fate of our democracy. So we only got to hear just a little bit from Josh Cole. I can tell you that in the past years that we've supported him, he is a truly inspiring candidate in terms of how articulate he is, in terms of his experience in the community and the world, in terms of his appeal to voters. So I'm going to give you a chance now to be a leader. If you have already made a contribution today, you have a chance to make another one. If you haven't, please use the link in the chat to make a contribution. And I want to tell you how much of a helper my husband and I have been. We talked about it. He actually upped the number that I had suggested. And we are contributing $2,000 to this Virginia slate because that is an amount that communicates how much of a helper or how much helpers, I have to use a plural, we want to be. So whatever your circumstances are, whatever a reach is for you, however much of a helper you want to be, please go to the link in the chat and make a contribution that will really make you feel that you're making a difference for Josh Cole and for the other 9 candidates in our slate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. So the donation link has been in the chat repeatedly, so just scroll up to find it. Several people have donated. Thank you very much. So we're pulling in some money. So Josh, we have another couple of questions. One is, what is your timeline for canvassing? When do you want us to get out and knock doors?
ASAP, as soon as possible. We
Okay.
just brought on an amazing field director, Jessica. So Jim or whoever, I can get you all connected with her to start setting those things up. The earlier touches are so important for us. So as we've already started knocking on doors, I was supporting a candidate through the primary. So I personally have already started been door knocking maybe for the past month or so, just so people know about the primary and then who I was since I didn't have a primary.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That is really good to know. And we will get organized for canvassing. When people are knocking, what sort of issues are you encouraging us to focus on that you feel will be most helpful for you and most important for voters to know?
We definitely want to talk about transportation and traffic issues. We want to talk about affordable or what we call workforce housing. And then we also want to talk about education. But we're also hearing people concerned about abortion rights, of course. And so we want to talk about those 3 major issues, but also listen to issues that people may want to raise themselves as well.
Okay, thank you. Another question, if this district is a mixture, including parts of your old district, how well did you do in the parts of your old district that remain?
So we have about 45% of our old district. Our old district had 2 Republican bastions. We lost one of those and we still kept one of them in this new district. But that Republican bastion has been offset by the entire city of Fredericksburg, which votes very heavily blue, and the northern part of Spotsylvania, which is purplish, which I think we have an ability to dig in and bring voters over to our side because of the school board issue in Spotsylvania County.
Okay. That sounds optimistic. Is your opponent like a MAGA Republican? Who's your opponent?
So our opponent is a Black cop. He is the 3rd in the chain of command in the sheriff's department here in the county. I've known him for a while. I actually thought he was a Democrat, but apparently Governor Youngkin called him 4 times to convince him to run for this seat. So he's never held public office. Even in the voter database, there's no data about him on which way he leans. So it's going to make it a little tough for us this year as far as like attacking him. But all the endorsees that have come out to endorse him have been strong MAGA Republicans and the crazy Republicans. So, the company you keep will tell a lot about you as well.
That's a good line. Like that. Another question, can you please comment on your past experience in the Virginia legislature? And how do you think it will help you be, strong at what you do once you get elected?
Absolutely. If I know everyone's pretty aware of what's happening in Virginia this year, but with redistricting, with primaries, we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge in the General Assembly this year, whether it's from retirements or some people losing in primaries. And so when we get to January, we're going to need experienced legislators who know the legislative process, who know how to operate in Richmond. And that's what's a great thing about me, that I'm experienced in, and not just experienced in the swamp or being an old school legislator, but I know how to work the process. And we're going to definitely need that type of leadership, especially with all the new people coming in. My opponent does not have that experience. And even the lady who beat me 2 years ago, she's running for the state Senate. She still does not have that type of experience as well. So with me being a former staffer for both the Senate side, the House side, and the chief of staff, I'm going to come in with the knowledge of how to run the gamut, how to work these policies. And I will actually, with only serving, as one term, by the time I get back, I will still be a more senior legislator than many of the other delegates and senators who are going to be elected when we get back as well.
Thank you. That was really helpful to understand. One more question, and then I will probably let you go. Is access to broadband an issue in your district?
Absolutely. So in Stafford County, as I mentioned, the Republican bastion of Stafford County is very rural. So we've done some great work under Governor Northam of expanding broadband, but we still have more work to do. Even though I don't have the rural parts of Spotsylvania County, I will still be representing Spotsylvania County, and there's still portions in Spotsylvania that do not have access to broadband and high-speed internet. And so we definitely have to do work for them as well. And there's also an interest of bringing data centers to the region. And so if we want to take advantage of those data centers, we have to make sure that our citizens have access to that high-speed internet and broadband.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we really wish you all the luck. We have been your fans since 2019, and several of us have met you at different events, and it's always just very inspiring to meet you and know what you're doing. And we thank you for running again. And we're backing you all the way, and we'll be out there knocking doors.
Well, I appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you so much for supporting us and some of my other colleagues here in Virginia. We're going to flip the House and keep the Senate because of all the hard work you guys are doing for us. Thank you so much.
Good luck, Josh.
For joining us. All right, so let's see, we just have a few more minutes. Were there any other just questions or comments about the rest of our program? We really love Joshua Cole. He is really amazing. I mean, many of us have met him, and he just knows so much. He's just really an effective candidate. Let's see, I'm just looking. Roberta.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify on the timing for the Ohio letters, just to make sure it's crystal clear. The campaign does roll out tomorrow, which of course is right away, but we have until July 25th to complete the letters and get them in the mail. So it doesn't mean just because we start tomorrow, it doesn't mean you have to start tomorrow. It means you could sign up, you can get your Ohio letters, and you can complete them from now or from tomorrow until July 25th and get them in the mail. So there's a lot of flexibility, and there's actually plenty of time to complete the letters. Even if you sign up for a batch, they go very quickly. So just want to make sure people understood that.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think we got back to George. George, in terms of the news thing that we're doing, was there a timeline for that?
Yes, we expect to get the pre-printed postcards around the middle of July. So it'll be the second half of July is the window that we're looking to get them done, or perhaps going a little into August, but it will be in that general time frame. Okay,
great. And who else has their hand up? If I just don't see everybody on the screen.
Ginge has her hand up.
Oh, okay, Ginge.
How do we get the postcards and the letters? Do we pick them up somewhere? How do we physically get them?
Okay, George and no, not George. Yes, George and Melanie, I guess. How or everybody, how do they get the letters and postcards?
In our case, we're going to be doing delivering.
Deliver?
Yes, for the postcards for fighting the MAGA media.
Yeah, and for Ohio, when you sign up, we will email you the material that that Working America provides. They'll have the form, sign up the letter available, and you'll just print it out with your own printer.
Okay.
Only for people who have signed up.
Okay, gotcha. And Melanie, can you remind us of your timeline? Somebody's asking.
About 8 to 10 weeks throughout the summer, but we're going to continue till all 4,000 or so of the voters are contacted. So if it takes us a little bit longer, we're going to see it through.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I guess just before we sign off, just to to remind everybody that when we start canvassing in a big way, we always have a canvas leader at the site where you will be launching. So there will be somebody there to touch base with and make sure you have everything you need, and to connect you with the campaign. We always do a Zoom sort of orientation on Thursday night that Jim does for people who are signing up for a particular canvas, just to give you a little bit of information about that canvas that you've signed up for. And we will be sending out a way to sign up for canvases. And you'll have a lot of date options and a lot of probably different location options. And what I would suggest you do is look at your calendar now for August, September, and October, all the way up to Election Day. And just begin planning now for what weekends you might be able to devote a day to canvas. It's just, it really helps, make sure that we get out there if we plan ahead, because otherwise life happens and then we don't do as much canvassing as we want. And just for those of you who have not canvassed with us before, we can provide you a canvas buddy. If you're anxious about it, or you're nervous about canvassing, you haven't done it in 20 years and you want a buddy, we'll give you a buddy. We'll give you a ride. We'll give you anything you need to help you canvass, because it is the most effective way to get the vote out. And it's really fun. And if you talk to Jim Shelton, he will talk your ear off about how wonderful canvassing is. He canvasses more than anybody in the whole group, despite the fact that he does everything else. And so really, we're a pro canvas group. So we hope we get a lot of door knockers out there this fall.
Actually, Diane Kupelian does more canvassing.
Oh, good point. Good point. She probably beats you. All right. Well, thanks for seeing everybody. Thank you for donating. Many of you donated today. Thank you so much. That's a great launch for our fundraising. Really appreciate it. See you Tuesday night, perhaps.
Thanks for the shout out.